So I wanted to make this video real quick. It's kind of like a last-ditch effort thing. I wrote this script, which is a sequel to the original Home Alone films, one and two. In this universe, the other films don't really exist. This idea came to me. I was sitting in my car, staring out the window a few years ago, towards the end of 2022. And I get hit with a lot of ideas. I think they say somewhere in an average day, the average person has 100,000 thoughts. Um, and within those thoughts, you probably have 1,000 ideas. And speaking for myself, I could have 1,000 ideas and none of those stick. Um, it takes a lot for something to stick with me. And I believe that ideas are divine. I think that important ideas are divine, and I think that they are given to people for a specific purpose and a specific reason. And I also believe that they are given to specific people because only that person is able to carry it out. So I take ideas very seriously. Now, that doesn't mean that every idea that comes to me, um, is going to stick or it's going to last. Most of them fall off and just kind of go their merry way. They just kind of fly in front and they go by. But very rarely an idea will come around that, and these are sort of big ideas. Obviously we have smaller ideas throughout the day and we still get things done, obviously, so we are accomplishing small things every day. But every once in a while, a big idea will come and it will not let you go. It will just keep bothering you. And I think that this is one of those things, is one of those big ideas that angelically or for whatever reason or thing you want to believe is given to you, that is your responsibility. The key word here is responsibility. I wrote a book a few years ago, and the idea just wouldn't let me go. And getting it published wasn't happening, so I had to self-publish it. That process of self-publishing that was immensely hard. Um, and if the idea had not been important, there's no way I could have gone through everything that I went through to get that book done, and it was very hard. It was very hard. Um, so this idea that I had, um, popped into my head whenever I was sitting in the car towards the end of 2022, looking out the window. Previously, before I had left Pennsylvania, um, sort of snapped and then drove down south, just kept driving south like a bird, and eventually hit Florida. Um, I was going to a film program. I was going through a film program. I hated it. I'm originally an actor by nature in terms of the film industry. Not that I've done anything special, although I would like to in the future. So being an actor primarily in a film program is very different. It's a very fish out of water experience. Um, I'm more comfortable being in front of the camera, not for egotistical reasons, but just for the art of acting. And being behind the camera is like, it's like saying, "Hey, go be part of the IT department." I'm like, "What does that mean?" Like look at these camera lenses and things. I'm like, I don't really get this at all. This doesn't make sense to me. So it was very difficult, very hard, um, and I left. The person who got me into the program, this is a good person, also talked me out of jumping ship in the middle of my first semester. I was freaking out. He sat me down and he said, "Hey, I understand how you're feeling right now. Do me a favor, finish the semester. If you don't like it, if you still decide that you want to leave, leave, but finish the semester, because that way, if you decide you want to come back, you'll have the semester and you'll just enroll into the second semester, kind of roll back into it. But if you leave in the middle of it, I was also using my GI Bill. If you leave in the middle of it, that poses all sorts of problems. I mean, that's just like a top down. There's problems everywhere with leaving in the middle of a semester. And thank God that this person, which is a very important person to me, talked me down, um, and was there to say what he said to me, and he got me in and he got me out basically. Um, and I'm, I think a lot of people need someone like that in their life, but they're not fortunate enough sometimes to have that person at certain times in their life. But hopefully, everyone at least gets one of those people at an important part of their life. So fast forward after I left the first semester and I went through all those shenanigans and I got my book published. That was kind of one of the things I think subconsciously was I wanted to leave and get that done. Um, and I'm sitting in the car and that idea pops in my head. I'm basically in the process now while I'm sitting in the car, during that era, during that time, towards the end of 2022, while I'm in Florida, that I'm going back into the program. I'm going back into the film program. Now, call this a coincidence. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. I personally choose to not believe in coincidences. Notice the key words: I choose to not believe in coincidences. I'm not saying I don't believe in coincidences. That sounds wishy washy and fallacy. I make a decision, a conscious effort, um, decision to not believe in coincidences. It's just a personal belief. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just is what it is. But me sitting in that car and this idea coming right before I go back into the film program, is that a coincidence? I don't know. Now, when this idea hit me, like I said, I have many ideas. When this idea hit me, it it could have been like any other idea. Sorry, the sun is going in and out. I don't have a Bowser on me. Sorry, film program. Um, this could have been any number of ideas, millions of ideas, going this way, going that way, thank you, goodbye, write them down, they stick, they stay, they go, whatever it's going to happen. And I thought that this idea was cute, I thought it was nice. I mean, I was excited about it, don't get me wrong. I thought, oh, this is great, um, but I thought it was just going to go. I thought it was going to come and go. It was going to leave. Um, but it didn't. It didn't. It stayed with me and it stuck with me. And it stuck with me so far to the point that when I went back to the film program, it was still there. And we had a screenwriting class, and I worked on the first act, basically, the first few pages of the screenplay, kind of got the ball rolling. And then for our final project or product, we had a choice to either make like a decision to make either a personal, like, short film or write a full length screenplay. I had an idea. I still have the idea for my short film. However, at the time, my poor vehicle, the vehicle that actually I had that idea in, since I was going through the program and the place I was in, the vehicle, like me at the time, especially, it did not prefer the cold weather, and it sitting so long is not good. For anyone who understands cars, the ironic paradox is, some people are scared to drive their vehicles. Your vehicle sitting is actually the worst thing that you can do for a car, because it sits and it settles and it needs to run. The vehicle needs to run. I didn't have the means in almost every way possible to drive this vehicle. Um, and I was also having some mechanical troubles with it, some problems with it. I was having um, the transmission switch, I believe, was blown out again, and a couple of number of things. And sometimes your gut is just saying, man, this is, you just got to kind of leave it here for a minute. So the vehicle was sitting for a long time. And because of that, I wasn't able to drive it anywhere. kind of getting off track here. Let me get back on track. That's why I didn't, I chose to not, chose to not do the short film. I wanted to, I still want to. Um, you know, most people, which is like 99% of people, don't give a crap about your excuses and the idea that, hey man, I want to do this thing, but I don't really have a car to do it with, um, is an excuse. And I think that, you know, if you really want something, you'll do it. And I was kind of using my excuses as leverage to maybe subconsciously do the thing that I kind of sort of more wanted to do. I gave myself permission to just finish this script, you know, finish this screenplay. And that's what we did. Gentlemen I worked with, we kind of bounced some ideas back and forth, and um, you know, it started to take shape, you know, and this screenplay is finished. It's finished, um, but it's not done yet. You know, it's not. It needs a polished writer. It needs someone who understands how the original Home Alone films are written. You know, as um, you know, the teacher who talked me in, you know, to staying for that semester, as he put it, you know, it needs the, I can't whistle like he can, but you know, it needs the slapstick, you know, like slipping and like, oh, you know, so like the idea is there's a lot of Home Alone sequel ideas and stuff out there, where, you know, Kevin's got PTSD and, you know, it's dark and dramatic. And I think that's kind of where it begins. It's kind of where it starts. I didn't want to go that route. I think that's too much and um, that doesn't honor the original Home Alone films at all. It would be totally not a third, you know, I don't know, baseball analogies, out of left field, you know, sort of idea or screenplay. Um, so that's kind of the missing element right now. It doesn't have that Home Alone sort of vibe to it, that feel to it. That would take um, a polished uh, writer, someone who understands that kind of writing to do that. Um, but the reason I made this video, the reason I made this video, or am making this video, is sort of a last ditch effort way of getting this message out there. You know, I produced a documentary, I worked on a documentary, I busted my ass off on it. And, you know, it kind of shows you that you can bring things together. But I've reached out to, you know, obviously you got to get to 10,000, get through 10,000 no's before you can get through to a yes. But I've reached out to the John Hughes estate, Christopher Columbus's agent, um, Macaulay Culkin's manager, uh, you know, and then some of these other people. It's like, you know, I hate to say in terms of, but I'm basically a nobody in the film industry. Like, you know, so no one's really gonna be like, oh yeah, let me message this guy back. But I'm reaching out to these people and I'm either getting no's or I'm just getting like totally fucking ignored. Like, hey, what the hell is this? But let me tell you something important. There is a strong, can I swear in this video? There's a strong fucking desire for this movie. This is the time. Like, this is the time. And it's funny because I'm the only one that sees this and no one else sees this. Like, huge budget producers in Hollywood don't see this. Guy who's working on me with the script is like, I don't know how you would sell this thing. I'm thinking, like, how the fuck do you not sell this thing? How do you not sell this thing? Um, this is the Home Alone franchise is owned by Disney. 20th Century Fox sold it to Disney. So, you know, I'd like to say I'm in the process of looking for an agent that's sort of, as someone told me the other day, a chicken and the egg thing. Like, you need experience to get an agent, but an agent needs to see that, to be able to give you a chance that you have some experience. But how do you get experience when you to get the chance? Like, it's kind of a weird thing. Like, especially if you don't have any, um, I guess you would say, like, credits under your belt to be like, oh, this guy seems like, yeah, I'll represent him. So it puts me in a really weird position. Remember what I said earlier about taking ideas seriously? I take this idea for this script very seriously. It sounds silly whenever I say it. You're probably giggling to yourself right now, if not full out laughing. This idea, a Home Alone sequel. I've even had certain things tell me like, oh, you can't compare your compare this film to what else is going on. But that's kind of the point of like marketing in a way. Even though I hate that aspect of marketing, like what's working in the market. But we have to look at some things. It all started with, at least in recent years, it started with Maverick. Started with Top Gun Maverick. That movie really, I feel, changed the film industry in terms of like you gotta get your fucking you gotta raise your fucking standards. You've guys. I was in the mall. I'm walking through the mall in the theater section, and it's just dominated by crap. It's like Moana 2, fucking Mufasa, like Inside Out 2, and it's like I'm like vomiting inside of my mouth. It's like we're back to the era of the late 90s, before Steve Jobs kicked in the door, where we got Tarzan 2, Cinderella 3, Lilo and Stitch, what number is it? Like they're just like, let's make it rain and sit like it's quantity. It's nothing about quality, it's about quantity. And Top Gun Maverick put a big middle finger to that and said, you guys need to raise your fucking standards. And, or rather, you guys can't touch us. You can't fucking touch us. I don't know how that movie was made, one, and I don't know how that movie was made so freaking good, borderline perfect, too. It seems very un-Hollywood. And I love when people say like Maverick saved Hollywood. Like I love phrases like that because it's sort of like a um, anyways, I won't get into that. But what I was saying earlier is this idea came to me for a reason. And I know this whole video seems crazy, it seems weird. This is sort of a last ditch effort thing. Um, Probably get like a few views or whatever. The idea, I don't know, share this thing but this movie has to get made. Excuse me, it has to get made. And the time is right now. Joe Pesci, I don't, somebody told me he was 80 years old. It's getting close. The guy's about 80 years old. Somebody told me the guy's rich. What does he give a crap about doing this thing? Well, I think someone who, and I understand, like, as adults, everything is dominated by people's ego and their money, and they've stopped, believing in their inner child, like 50 years ago. But I don't give a crap about that aspect. Here's a word that I would like people to try on for size: legacy. Legacy. What's more important than money? Legacy. Leaving behind a legacy. This idea that Home Alone 1 and 2, Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, and Daniel Stern, they come full circle. And there is forgiveness, and there is reconciliation, and there is a closing of the story. You know, redemption. There's this redemption of their relationship. These two guys, they're in prison, they get out of jail, um, and then they go and they work with they work with Kevin McAllister to fight this new threat. They kind of team up, and at the end of it, there's redemption, there's forgiveness, and all that stuff. You can call me a dreamer, you can call me naive, or, what's the word? Whatever those words are. But that's the way that my mind works, and I'm not changing it anytime soon. I have a different North Star than a lot of other people. I've spoken with people whose their North Star is cash. Like that's their North Star. And for me, my North Star, at least if we're talking about in terms of this film, is legacy. You know, this film isn't about me. And it's not about me. It's about Macaulay Culkin. It's about Daniel Stern. It's about Joe Pesci, and it's about Catherine O'Hara. That's what this film is about. It's for them. I literally have this gift, and I'm trying to give it to them. Like here it is. But it's kind of hard whenever you know I don't have. I can't just call them up on the phone. I can't just call Catherine O'Hara up on the phone and be like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. Like, are you interested?" And even if I could, it'd be like, "Who are you? What is this?" But this idea is for them. All these things, I can see everything. I know this sounds weird, but I see everything all the time. And um, I look at destiny as sort of a spherical ball, whereas maybe some people see it as like when they're in the Sahara Desert and they see that heat coming off the sand in the distance, and they're like, "Oh, is that a mirage? What's going on?" But like I see destiny as like a spherical ball. I can see it all already. Like I can see it. And this movie is for them. Now is the time. This is why I was given this idea. Again, I know this sounds crazy. It is what it is. But and this video actually is for them. This video, that'd be funny if Macaulay Culkin actually watched this video. Hey, Macaulay. Um, but it's for you guys. There's no malice here. There's no malice here. There's no, um, I don't know, Hollywood, you know, panting like evil maliciousness. There's nothing like that here. There's no ego here. This idea chose me. I'm just the vehicle. I'm just the recipient. I'm trying to give it to you. That's it. This movie has to be made now. Remember when I talked about Destiny as a spherical ball? Macaulay Culkin just received his star on Hollywood. You can look at the video on YouTube. Just type that into the search bar. Catherine O'Hara is totally sweet, beautiful woman. She gives this wonderful speech to Macaulay. And they got this beautiful relationship. They got this wonderful friendship together. And I was on Daniel Stern's website. He wrote like an autobiography or a memoir, um, which is titled, forgive me, I can't remember entirely, like At Home Alone or something like that, which tells me that this really stuck with them. You know, Sometimes things really stick with you for like the rest of your life. This was a profound experience for Daniel Stern. And I want everyone to come back together to do this one last thing. Um, and it means a lot to me. This is about legacy. This isn't about a paycheck, although I believe this would be very, very successful. This is about legacy. It's about legacy. It's for Daniel Stern, it's for Catherine O'Hara, it's for Joe Pesci, and it's for Macaulay Culkin. Somebody was speaking to me about, again, fuck it, I'm a beginner in this shit, and Zen is my thing. I'm always about beginner's mind, so come at me. But somebody was talking to me about, well, in order to sell this thing, it would have to be a package deal. Sorry, all these quotation marks. And I wasn't sure exactly what he was saying. He's like, you got to have some notable names on board. And I was like, well, that was the idea from the beginning. It's got to have those you four actors in it. It has to have, you, Macaulay. It has to have you, Catherine. It has to have you, Joe, and it has to have you, Daniel. It has to have you. It has without you, there is no Homes Alone, and it has to be directed by Christopher Columbus. It doesn't have to be directed by you, Chris, but I would very much rather you do it. You are the one to do it. Um, John Hughes, rest his soul, is no longer around, but I need you to direct this film. And now's the time, man. I mean, if you go on YouTube and you look at these like Home Alone reboots and all this stuff, um, I don't know how old you are, Joe, but you look pretty good for 80. And I know some people in their 50s who look like they've already got one foot in the grave. So, but I'm making this video as one last ditch effort. Probably be a laughing stock if at most gets viewed 16 times or something. But the idea is to share this video and to try and get Macaulay to watch it, Catherine O'Hara to watch it, Joe Pesci to watch it, Daniel Stern to watch it, and Christopher Columbus to watch it. Apparently, messaging Christopher Columbus on Instagram doesn't really contact him that well. But that's it. That's my rant. It's very important. It's very important. It has to happen now. It really does. I mean, with all these reboots now, people are starting to become wise to it. Twisters, I already mentioned Maverick, which started this whole thing. Um, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. It just the list goes on and on. And we have to stand up for ourselves in a society that is shoving things down our throat. We have to stand up and say no to quantity and yes to quality. If you think that I want to make this movie as just a quick buck thing, you're not someone I want to talk to in the first place. And this film is about legacy. It's about leaving a legacy. Um, Trying to get out of my head and into my body. I'm really trying to speak from the heart here. I guess at this point I'm just rambling on, but that's the idea of this video. My name is David Leisure. This idea popped into my head. I'm just the recipient. I'm just trying to give it to you. This is for you, Macaulay, you, Joe, you, Daniel, and you, Catherine. And I hope that you take some time to think about it. If it's something that's interesting to you, I can make a video where I talk more about the script in detail or the ideas behind it. But it have to honor the original Home Alone 1 and 2. And it absolutely has to be, they say there's no such thing as perfect, but I think Top Gun Maverick is damn near fucking perfect. It has to be a perfect script. And the only way I can do that is with a damn good writer. I can make it happen because the solid base of quality is there, but I need to be able to bounce the ideas off of someone. But this film is for you guys. It's for you guys. So I don't know if some weird freaking thing that this video gets out to you and you actually watch it. But whoever is watching this, if you could share it, like it, if we could somehow get this out to them, I would really appreciate that. Because right now, trying to get through to them is like shooting a BB gun at a mortar wall. And it has to happen. It's for you guys. So that's it. I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to leave you with your regularly scheduled broadcasting. This is David Leisure, and I will talk to you later. Bye.